secured and coming. Congratulations. How's the second one different than the first one?
The feeling doesn't get old. I thought, you'd maybe feel like, oh, man, like I felt the feeling before. It doesn't get old. It's amazing.
Durant winds up as the Finals MVP. Looking back on the season, what was the turning point where you knew, okay, we've somehow incorporated all these star players, including one of the great scorers in NBA history, but maintained our identity as a selfless sort of team?
I say Christmas Day. I think we had the game won, and then they came back and just punched us in the mouth. And at that point was when Steph said, I can't just get a ball up. Like, I have to be aggressive. And KD's like, hey, man, we need you to be aggressive. And everybody else is following that training. So, at that point, I think that's when we became who we were today. And, that's eventually it turned out to be champions.
Well, Sparty, congratulations.
Sparty!
Bringing one back to East Lansing and Saginaw. The big question for me is the implement of Kevin Durant. Everybody talked about offensively. Talk to me about the turning point to get him to buy in defensively the way he did team-wise and also individually. I thought he took his game up to another level. Talk about that process.
Well, I think, when we started the season, we were scoring well and we realized, we're not defending well. And losing Bogut was a big part of that. It wasn't the same type of rim protection. And, I pulled K to the side one day in practice and I said, hey, man, I need you to be with me on that defensive side of basketball. And he said, say no more. And from that point on, he was locked in, blocking shots, changing the game on the defensive side where, you always hear this two-way player thing. And he's never mentioned. But yet we got the best scorer in the league and, one of the best defenders in the league, and he's never mentioned in that category. I think he's solidified that.
With some rest, Draymond, coming into the finals before you knew that Cleveland was going to be your matchup, is there something that you did for yourself to take some time realizing the opportunity, how fortuitous it was that you were going to face Cleveland again, have an opportunity to come back after what happened last year in the finals, for you to make an impact, to make somewhat, in terms of winning the title, amends for last year? Did you do anything prior to the series at all, or was it just let's get started?
I just I took a day, I flew down to LA and I just sat by the pool, and just tried to clear my mind of everything and, just lock in on the task at hand. I knew we were playing Cleveland, so it was no surprise. Like, oh, man, we're going to wait and see who's going to come out the East. Like, we knew Cleveland was coming out the East now. It took a game more than what we thought it would take, but we knew they were coming. So we were locked in on that and, tried to get away from the game for a couple of days, and then we locked back in. And it was a focus level that I've never seen before. When I looked at KD, I had never seen anything like that before. I looked at Steph. I had never seen anybody locked in like that before. I knew we were going to win when I saw the way that they were locked in.
Draymond, before the series started, there was an old interview about if you were to play Cleveland in this year's final.
That was new.
That was new?
Because that feeling never changed.
Okay, the interview. My question, are you happy? I mean, were you pleased with how you guys played overall? Was it you wanted to annihilate them? Do you feel like you guys did that?
I think we did.
Yeah.
We won the first 2 games by 20. Right. And, we had to go take one, in game 3. And then game 4, they annihilated us. But then game 5, we came back and, I think we did that. And that was the goal from the jump. It was, everybody said, oh, man, why would you say that? I'm going to say what I feel I need to say and how I feel. And I got great teammates that's going to support me when I say those things.
16-1, greatest win percentage ever in a playoff run, greatest margin point differential by any team in a playoff run. You've now won more games over a 3-year span than any team in NBA history. Do you have an appreciation in the middle of it of how extraordinary this thing is, or is this just you guys playing?
One thing we always tell ourselves is stay in the moment, and try to enjoy these moments because you never know when it's over. But at the end of the day, it's hard to do that. You don't sit back and say, oh, man, we've won more than anyone, or like, we had the highest win percentage in the playoffs, so we won by the most points. You don't really register that. Now, you'll look back on it, when we're 40 years old and say, man, that was pretty cool.
Wait, 40? What's
my fault, fellas.
Yeah, 40,
Sorry.
40's not old. That's not old.
I mean, we still got some 40-year-olds playing, so that's. But how many 40-year-olds are really playing? So you get out that league, you get out the league and you start looking back on those things. My fault, old heads. 55.
Draymond, my question to you is, y'all lost a lot of y'all bench, when you acquired Kevin Durant. Talk about Ian Clark, Patrick McCaw, Zaza, David West, the new guys, how they contribute, and talk about the trust you had. I mean, Steve Kerr would go to these guys, McAdoo, in big games and big moments, and they came through.
Well, that's a testament to our front office, first off. They went and got guys who, maybe didn't get the biggest of contracts, but can fit right into the system, who can play great. And then those guys stepped up to the challenge, and every time their numbers were called, they were ready. And, you look at a Patrick McCaw, for instance, tonight, who's a rookie, and Steve told him yesterday, hey, Pat, you're going to get minutes tomorrow. And he stepped up to the challenge. Ian Clark all year was a difference maker on this team. Zaza, difference maker. David West, difference maker. James Michael McAdoo, difference maker. And that's big for us. And so, everyone said, oh, man, they got rid of their depth. But we brought in some more guys that can get the job done. And they stepped up to the challenge each and every time. And credit to Steve. He trusts everyone. If you're in that locker room, he trusts you to go out there and get it done. And, the one thing we always talk about is being a professional. And that means being ready whenever your number is called. If it's not called for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, when it's called, you're ready to go. Matt Barnes tonight hadn't played much in the finals. He come in and give us a couple big minutes at the end of the first quarter. That's huge.
That's coming from a guy who, as far as I can tell, is ready for anything, including his celebration here tonight. Second ring for Draymond Green, who had the best plus-minus of anybody on the floor tonight in the Warriors' closeout win